Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
A whistleblower who worked inside OpenAI was about to testify, then ended up dead. His name was Sujir Balaji, and he was a 26-year-old engineer who worked at OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. He quit after discovering what he believed were crimes committed by the company, crimes he needed to expose. He was preparing to testify in a massive lawsuit. The New York Times was involved, OpenAI, Microsoft, over stolen content and illegal trading data. Sources say he was a key witness. Then suddenly, he was found dead. Police say it was a suicide, it was a locked room, it was a gunshot wound, and case closed. But the crime scene photos show a completely different story. There was blood in multiple places. It was a downward bullet trajectory, and there were synthetic hair tufts, as if someone else was in there wearing a disguise, a wig of some sort. And his mother, a respected professor, says that it was not a suicide. His mother, Purnima, went public, saying her son was murdered before he could speak out. She believes he was silenced because of what he knew, and that there was much more to the story. The family is now suing the city of San Francisco for covering up the truth.
You know they took him out, bro.
Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only.
We are not going to get to human-level AI by just scaling up LLMs. This is just not going to happen, okay?
That's your perspective.
There's no way, okay? Absolutely no way. And whatever you can hear from some of my more adventurous colleagues, it's not going to happen within the next 2 years. There's absolutely no way in hell to, pardon my French, the idea that we're going to have, a country of genius in the data center, that's complete BS, right? There's absolutely no way. What we're going to have maybe is systems that are trained on sufficiently large amounts of data that any question that any reasonable person may ask will find an answer through those systems. And it would feel like you have, a PhD sitting next to you, but it's not a PhD you have next to you. It's, a system with a gigantic memory and retrieval ability, not a system that can invent solutions to new problems.
He's wrong, bro. It's coming fast.
Well, I hope he's right.
What we need from you, if I may say that directly, is we need energy in all forms, renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there, and it needs to be quickly. People are planning 10 gigawatt data centers. Just to do the translation, an average nuclear power plant in the United States is 1 gigawatt. How many nuclear power plants can we make in 1 year where we're planning this 10 gigawatt data center? Gives you a sense of how big this crisis is. Many people think that the demand of energy part that our industry takes will go from 3% to 99% of total generation. One of the estimates that I think is most likely is that data centers will require an additional 29 gigawatts of power by 2027 and 67 more gigawatts by 2030. Gives you a sense of the scale that we're talking. These things are industrial at a scale I have never seen in my life.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how they think it's going to be achievable, let alone sustainable.
That dude that founded Oculus, he started this company. It's pretty genius, but also really scary. He formed his own Stark Industries, basically.
Yeah, okay.
And so instead of the U.S. government raising tax dollars to fund Boeing or Lockheed Martin to build a weapon, he already builds them and then he sells them. So his stuff is like crazy advanced, and it's all AI stuff. He was the one, the drone with the truck.
That one.
What they're not saying is that he will be selling to other countries too.
Yeah,
and that's the military. We call it industrial complex. Yes, the fighter jet that he made. It's an AI fighter jet. It's totally autonomous, but it's built using commercialized parts. Like the engine is from a Boeing 747 commercial plane.
Modding it just enough to make it work.
Like bring the prices down and stuff like that.
People like that rise to power because they realize inefficiencies in the processes that exist in government. When you take things like AI and the ability to leverage other companies, they're going to be able to build things better without all the bureaucracy and the red tape that comes with massive companies within the government industry. But
you would think.
We're living in the start of a Marvel movie, bro.
Yeah, just a really shit one.
Every American needs to know about this guy and his company. Palmer Luckey is building what many consider to be the most advanced defense company in the world. Anduril develops AI military technology, like Fury, a product that will likely change warfare forever. Fury is a fully autonomous fighter jet. That means no cockpit, no pilot, and no remote control. It can scout, strike, and survive all on its own in the most dangerous airspaces. Think of it as an F-16 that just makes its own decisions. As of right now, they're designing it to fight alongside fighter jets that have pilots. This way, Fury can take the lead and do all the damage before any manned jets need to even get involved. Anduril's bet is that autonomous defense systems will dominate warfare. And that's why they're operating like a Silicon Valley startup, to be able to ship products faster than any other company or country.
That's fucking incredible, but terrifying.
Yeah, bro, we're fucked.
We're going to make physical robots instead of virtual robots.
China just made Elon Musk's Neuralink look obsolete by helping paralyzed patients walk again within weeks of surgery. Here's the story. According to Shanghai's Fudan University research, Elon Musk's Neuralink assumes paralysis is permanent, but Chinese researchers implanted tiny electrode chips, creating a neural bypass in patients' brains and spines. Within 24 hours, all 4 patients could move legs that hadn't worked in years. Neuralink aims to connect brains to computers, therefore keeping patients dependent on technology. But China's approach reconnects the body's own neural pathways, triggering neural remodeling, the nervous system actually rewiring itself. Patients reported feeling warmth, sweat, and muscle contractions within weeks, therefore showing true nerve recovery. The lead scientist believes this could eventually free patients from device dependence altogether. This isn't just changing medicine, it's rewriting what's possible for millions told their condition was permanent.
And so, they're going to do the other side. They're going to make real people really walk again, and yeah, probably make real robots. While Psiopolis over here, we're just going to make everybody live in a prompt world. So that's what else is going on the outsides of Psiopolis. Because, you know, they have their own Psyop, the Chinopolis. And over here in Psiopolis, yeah, it's a little different.
That's amazing.
We won't get them here, bro. They'll use them to disconnect our brains.
Okay, so about 6 years ago or so, Google bought Nest.
Right.
Now, some people know that, but what they don't know is that about a year or two later, what do I call myself? Some idiot professor type pulled apart one of the new Nest thermostats that they were selling and found that they had put a microphone into it without telling anybody. Now, around the same time that they're installing microphones into...
Wait. This was the one that you purchased?
No, this is another professor type.
Another professor type.
Another lunatic like me.
Purchased a Nest.
To investigate it. To find out why the question at the time was, why would Google be so interested in Nest?
Yeah.
Well, the reason they were interested is because it gets put in people's homes, and they were submitting patent applications at the time for new methods of analyzing sounds within the home.
That's why they always know what ads to show you.
It's not about ads, bro. It's about control.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat, transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits.
It's actually a global war on agriculture.
When you look at how many farms are selling up, we're walking into food shortages.
If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agriculture industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control.
If you control the food, you control the people, bro.
It's happening everywhere.
Right now, this is happening in a lot of countries around the world, but it's planned to happen in all countries around the world. Check this out.
The UK recently completed a carbon credit system trial that sets a daily allowance for each person, a literal cap on your ability to travel, purchase food, clothing, and even heat your home, all rationed under the guise of saving the planet. Your daily carbon limit is capped at 40 kilograms of CO2, with food restricted to just 4 kilograms. So how does this translate to actual food? Well, according to the report, a packet of cheese accounts for 1.1 kilograms of CO2, over 25% of your daily allowance. Red meat? Forget it. If you spent your entire 4 kg allowance on steak, you'd get around 8 ounces of meat. While meat and dairy products have the highest carbon footprints, 2 slices of bread would account for just 3%, while a can of Coke just 4%. So basically, diabetes is on the menu. But don't worry, Big Pharma will have you covered, because medications and healthcare products will not be factored into your daily carbon limit. But here's where things get terrifying. They're not just suggesting it, they're testing it. Food manufacturers are already slapping carbon labels on their products. Let's not forget the food supply chain either. These policies directly threaten local farmers and producers, as red meat gets penalized heavily, while synthetic lab-grown meat is being propped up as a solution.
Now the problem is, if people knew the truth about where all these agendas are going, they would vehemently resist it. But you can barely talk about it on social media without getting the video, etc. flagged or censored in some way.
They can limit what we eat, but they can fly around in private jets and super yachts.
It's the WEF, bro.
When the World Economic Forum launched their social media campaign in 2018 carrying the slogan, "You'll own nothing and be happy," I thought, finally, the predatory billionaires who try to run the world had shown their hand. The public can finally see their fate if the World Economic Forum are allowed to succeed. That didn't happen. The media, who have the same owners as the World Economic Forum, persisted with calling the World Economic Forum's evil agenda a conspiracy theory. Even in this place, there are only a handful of senators with the courage to call out the agenda for what it is: economic exploitation and social control. Over the break, the World Economic Forum revealed another aspect of their plan when they launched a campaign against laundry. Yes, really, laundry. Jeans should not be washed more than once a month. Most other clothes once a week. You will wear dirty clothes and be smelly, apparently, and happy. The temptation is to laugh at their desire to control even mundane aspects of our lives, yet the truth is much more frightening than that. The World Economic Forum have now turned their evil agenda to food. The campaign against farming is really a campaign against one of the necessities of life: food. Predatory billionaires, parasitic billionaires, owning near-urban intensive production facilities, producing food-like substances for the masses.
You will own nothing and be happy is an insane slogan.
They've been planning this for years, bro.
One story that I found very interesting, this man named Peter from Austria and his 2 friends. They decide, we're going to go to T-Rich Moor. They make a base camp to reach the summit. They decided, we're going to set 2 people up, 1 person's going to stay at base camp.
No way.
How they decide doing a poker game. So they have a poker game, it's pretty intense, and Peter loses. His 2 friends then that morning leave to go summit the rest of King of Darkness Mountain, and they die. They fall, apparently off an ice sheet. That's what's said. They never recovered the bodies that I know of. Peter walks completely unscathed. A couple years later, this guy starts working at a company called Nestle.
Shut up.
His name is Peter Brabeck, who is now the CEO of the World Economic Forum. The same man who went on top of this mountain, had 2 of his best friends perish, went on from there to start working at Nestle. Since then, has been working for Nestle until recently.
And he was appointed by Klaus Schwab,
The most powerful person.
who founded the World Economic Forum. Just stepped down.
He just stepped down on the day the Pope passes away, and now this guy, Peter, is in charge.
Peter the Pope?
They just assumed on the same day. What if it's not the Vatican? What if it's the Vatican? What if the step above the Vatican is the World Economic Forum?
I don't think anyone from Nestle should be deciding what we can and can't eat.
It's not just food, bro.
So this is the kind of thing they're planning at World Economic Forum meetings, and I'm sure also at the Bilderberg.
Are convicted in their beliefs. And so, to Jack's point about using some of the lie detection technology, particularly for eyewitnesses, not only can we put information in without blowing up your brain, we can put it in and then you can believe it so sincerely that the problem is you can testify to that effect. And in fact, we've seen this in a number of ways. The police were doing lineups where the suggestibility of the information was so strong that people would later identify a person that they'd seen. For example, you show a picture lineup and only 1 person has on a jacket and nobody else does. And then when you go to the live lineup, because your brain triggered that there was something different about that person, You identify the person who you've just seen, but not realizing that it's because it's some difference. And then you've seen them twice, and now you're asked to testify as an eyewitness, and you're so convicted about having seen that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent.
So they're working on forms of mind control while also being super stoked that GMOs are being increased and there's more and more pesticides being sprayed. You see there may be an agenda here?
That's fucked up.
Bro, think how long they've been doing it without telling us.
Wearable devices. So these are brain sensors that are starting to be embedded in everyday devices, but until now have been a number of niche companies that really have focused on mindfulness and meditation. The use of, for example, brain sensors that can pick up electrical activity in the brain at a pretty low resolution, but advances in AI have both improved what the signal is that can come from the brain and enabled the miniaturization of those products. As a lot of the major tech companies start to invest in these brain sensors, it's a huge, I think, untapped market in many ways of integrating them into everyday devices. These are earbuds or watches or headphones and the soft cups around the ears. Many of those products are hitting the market this year, and others are hitting them within the next 2 years, such that people can listen to music, a phone call, etc., while having those devices in ears. Initially, what they will be capable of doing is very high-level brain state reading. Things like, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? They maybe enable interaction like up, down, left, right for interaction with other technologies. And they're being embedded into things like virtual reality.
These guys are fucking nuts.
We gotta do a full episode on the WEF, bro.
Check this out, Coca-Cola or McDonald's or wherever this is.
Watch what happens when you put Jesus in there. Personalize a message. You can put Allah loves you. Or you could even put, let me see, let's just try it out, Buddha. But you cannot even type in the word Jesus.
Wow.
We cannot allow this text on the camera.
That's crazy!
Everything else is good though. Even if I put, let's see, Satan. Oh no, bro. Hold on. Satan loves you. You can put that.
The part that got me was that you could write Satan loves you on the can, but you couldn't write Jesus, which is crazy because aren't a lot of people named Jesus too? That's discrimination. But maybe this is a lot darker than we think.
That's fucked up, right?
Especially if your name's Jesus.
You said it, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
The FBI have just confirmed that they have arrested 2 Chinese scientists attempting to smuggle a dangerous biological weapon into the United States. And if hypothetically this pathogen was let loose, it has the ability to cause mass poisonings and millions of dollars in damage across America. So here's what we know. Reports say that the Chinese couple attempted to smuggle a fungus called Fusarium graminearum into the United States, which sounds like a freaking Harry Potter spell, and is described in scientific literature as a potential agro-terrorism weapon. The pathogen infects crops like wheat, barley, oats, and corn, causing a disease called head blight. And it is so lethal that it can wipe out entire crops, lead to poisonings, and cause liver damage if the infected food is eaten by humans. US authorities said that this is one of the gravest national security concerns. But the whole situation gets even crazier when you dig deeper into who these 2 Chinese nationals are. The FBI said that before they came to America, they performed research on the fungus at a university in China while receiving funding from the Chinese government. They were allegedly planning to continue this research on the fungus at Michigan University, and the FBI stated that the evidence indicates that they have direct ties to the CCP. They've now been charged with conspiracy, smuggling, and visa fraud. But what do you think? Was this in fact a failed CCP operation, or just 2 Chinese researchers caught right in the middle of a US and China beef?
That's scary, bro.
It'd be interesting to see what Michigan University's got to say about it.
I will wager a bet today that in 25 years when we return for the 50th anniversary of the Nesca Sabras, that
you're very welcome.
that China will not be dominating the world at that time. And I'll wager that bet for 2 reasons. One is because I don't believe China intends to dominate the world. And number 2 is even if they did, they would fail at it. because we moved way past beyond the age of dominance. I think it'll be difficult for any one power to dominate the world. It's the wrong mindset. But let me just say this. In my lifetime, just in my career, peaceful rise has already happened. It's a fact on the ground. We went from a poor agrarian country to a behemoth that you know that is China today. Behemoth in every respect, okay? Yet, no country has been invaded. Not a single shot fired. No violence. And if you look at human history, the rise of every power, from Athenian Empire to the Roman Empire to the British Empire to America's manifest destiny to the rise of modern Germany and modern Japan, Ottoman Empire, every single one of them, their rise was accompanied by tremendous bloodshed, colonization, wars, massacres, okay? And China's rise to date has been bigger and faster than them all.
Tibet might have something to say about that.
They got all their money from Apple, bro.
I came across internal documents after speaking with 200 people, and I figured out that Apple was investing, by 2015, $55 billion a year into China. So $55 billion is...
A year?
$55 billion is per year. That's the investment. A lot of that is training costs for the employees in China. And the number of employees, like per Tim Cook's public estimate, right, is 3 million people are assembling iPhones and other Mac products in China.
But these aren't just low-level, like, oh, it's a million people doing
both. Lots of unskilled jobs, the ones that Howard Lutnick wants to bring back to America.
Yes.
Yep. And lots of PhDs at Foxconn. Right. Really sophisticated.
Right.
But my point is, like, lots of times people think there's great vocational training in China. The vocational school in China is Apple.
They've trained all these workers.
Yes, they've done a huge job. So let me just put the $55 billion in context. Please. I could not find any corporate equivalent for how much someone is investing in another country. So I had to go to government efforts. So you look at something like the CHIPS Act, right? Biden's flagship plan, let's bring chip fabrication back to America. That's $53 billion over 4 years, right? Another way of saying that Apple is investing quadruple what the Commerce Secretary called a once-in-a-generation investment in America. So that's nuts. And then you go back to the Marshall Plan, and you're thinking, okay, so maybe it's like half of the Marshall Plan, something like that. Like, that's going to be crazy. People are going to relate to that. So I take the Marshall Plan spending from 1948 to 1952, right? This is sort of like America saving Europe after the World War II.
Yeah.
And you convert it to 2015 dollars, and it's half the annual spending of what Apple's investing in China.
This is $130 billion in 16 countries.
16 countries versus one.
Versus one country.
Yeah, and it's not one, right? It's like the modern equivalent of the Soviet Union. Like, it's our biggest adversary.
That's a shitload of money, bro.
It's too late for Apple to move their production to the US.
The world is in shock right now after the fallout of last night, and there has been statements and new developments on the whole situation. What we are seeing right now is genuinely insane and one of the craziest things of 2025. Seems it all started with Elon criticizing Trump's bills, and obviously it got each other's backs up. And overnight it just seemed to be going back and forth, with Trump hitting back, then Elon hitting back again. Time went on, Elon's getting noticeably more difficult, to the point where the real shocker came that's baffled everyone about the Epstein files. It's kept going back and forth over this, where now Elon has actually said, is it time for America to create a new political party? We've even got outside people such as Kanye saying, bros, please no, we love you. Genuinely could not make this stuff up. We are now in the last few hours. This came out with a video apparently of a statement reacting to these claims. I'm sure this is going to get a whole lot crazier, and I'll keep you updated.
This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, bro. Should have made some popcorn.
If you thought Elon Musk leaving the White House and criticizing the Big Beautiful Bill was not that big of a deal, and if you thought he was headed back to Texas to focus all of his attention on Twitter, well, you would be wrong on both. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, courtesy of Elon Musk, are now in an absolute battle royale. Elon Musk took to Twitter today to go after the president over and over, so much so that Tesla's stock has lost over $150 billion in market cap today. He went on a tirade. He started the day with, here's a big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Elon Musk tweeted this with a "Have a nice day, DJT." Now, this tweet is part of a broader dispute. Donald Trump and his team have said over and over that the president has had no involvement in Jeffrey Epstein, and Elon Musk has shown no proof proving otherwise. But that's not all he said. He retweeted a tweet earlier today suggesting that the president be impeached. He went on to say he's the reason Donald Trump won the presidency. He's the reason Republicans have control of the Senate, have control of the House, and without him, Democrats would. He went on further to say that because of Donald Trump's tariffs, the country will tip into recession in the second half of the year. These are aggressive attacks from Elon Musk. He has more than just left the White House, and surprisingly, Donald Trump is pushing back, but not as hard as you might think. Remember, Melania Trump famously said her husband wasn't a bully, but if you hit him, he will hit back twice as hard.
When you attack him, he will punch back 10 times harder.
Where he hasn't hit back twice as hard, he said he's not surprised that Elon Musk turned on him. He's surprised that he didn't do it 6 months ago. Donald Trump's in power for the next 3.5 years. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. Which one is angrier? Which one is more vengeful? All eyes are on these two. This battle seems like it's just getting started.
What a pair of dickheads.
It's a distraction, bro. They're just puppets.
A tweet from Elon Musk, which kind of rattles the cages here in Washington and Republicans who support this big, beautiful bill. Take a look at the tweet, which I'm told we do have ready here, from Elon Musk, who says, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Elon goes on with additional criticisms of the bill. And this is a leader who was in the White House as of last week, being celebrated by President Trump as one of his great allies, now really dumping in public on the president's big initiative here in terms of what he wants to pass on Capitol Hill. We also see Elon Musk saying it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debts. The big question here is, what will Elon Musk's opposition to this bill do to the chances of passing it up on Capitol Hill, given Musk's near unlimited political funding capability for senators in the future, all of whom will start to be looking toward their own re-elections in 2 or more years, all of whom will be looking at the 28 election, some of whom will be running in 28 for the Republican nomination and may want Elon Musk as their primary financial backer. All of those questions now swirling in the moments after Elon Musk fired off that broadside.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is the dumbest name ever, bro.
Yeah, I wonder who come up with it.
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Elon Musk is leaving Doge because he failed. I think he's leaving because he succeeded. He did what he was supposed to do. That's of course assuming that he wasn't actually trying to balance the federal budget, but rather was just doing a massive PR campaign. The subtle clue there was all the very public and obvious PR he was obviously doing. All the tweets and the interviews, all the daily bombastic claims of new $100 billion fraud he had found. So usually when an audit happens, just an audit happens. There's not usually this much marketing involved, you know what I'm saying? So what do I think he was actually doing? I think he was trying to accomplish the same thing generic billionaire corporate elite guy is always trying to accomplish when he turns his sights to politics, which is to get people to focus less on financial politics and more on identity politics. In this case, by trying to convince people that financial politics literally is identity politics. Now, could you think of any reason why a bunch of literal corporate billionaires, you know, the people who benefit the most from the economy the way it currently is, might want to convince the masses that the suffering they're experiencing due to the way the economy currently is not being caused by the people who benefit the most from it, but rather by the people who benefit the least from it, the most marginalized, the most ostracized, the least represented. And now they're having a big public breakup, which is still a PR campaign. An attempt to separate Elon's image from the damage he's done so he can go back to selling people empty promises of hypothetical future technological breakthroughs.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, bro, it's the breakup of the century. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, so we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang bang!
Black, black.
Pick something from our website and we'll send it straight out.
That's terrortellstales.com. Shout out everyone buying the merch, bro.
We don't do sponsored segments in our content, and that's thanks to our channel members.
Members get early access to the show, bro.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.